Brethren, a very warm welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us today. Sorry, I jumped on a little bit late myself today. I didn't get a chance to speak to everyone and say hello, but a very, very warm welcome to you all. As normal, I will start with some housekeeping. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted onto our YouTube page. Therefore, those of you who do not wish to be seen, please feel free to turn your videos off now. To avoid any disruptions during the talk, can you please ensure that your microphones are kept on mute throughout? In fact, I've just realized that no, not everyone is on mute at the moment, so I will just do that.
Let me mute everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, Mahir. Brethren, there will be an open Q&A session after the talk. If you would like to ask a question, please use the hand up icon, which can be found in the participants tab on Zoom, and wait for your name to be called out. You may then unmute yourself, ask your question, but please do not forget to put yourself back on mute. And to give everybody a chance to ask their question, we request that you keep to one question per person, please. Brethren, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to our next speaker, most illustrious Knight Priest, Christopher Gavin Maiden, Grand High Priest of the Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priests and Order of Holy Wisdom. Chris has been a Freemason since 1981. He was initiated into Lodge of True Friendship number 218 and was subsequently passed and raised. He was installed as Master in 1989. Brethren, as I read through Chris's Masonic CV, it dawned on me that I would not be able to do it any justice. So if anybody would like to know anything else or a little bit more, please do send me a private message or contact Chris himself. But Chris is a member of no less than 19 different orders and is a Grand Officer in many of them. In the Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priest, Chris was admitted into Phoenix Tabernacle number 133 in 1989 and became a founding member of King Richard Tabernacle number 158 in 1991. He is also a member of Very Eminent High Priest number 518. Indeed, brethren, Chris is an honorary member of 44 tabernacles. Chris's passion and dedication for all things Masonic is evident, and I must admit, very inspiring. He became Grand High Priest in June 2013 and leads the order from the front alongside his dedicated team. Grand High Priest Chris, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you, Amit, and the members of Freemasonry Without Borders for inviting me to speak about the Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priest and Order of Holy Wisdom, an independent sovereign Masonic order of which I have the honor to be the current Grand High Priest, bracket, Grand Master. I'll try my best to keep it about 30 odd minutes and my level best not to bore you with too many facts. First of all, I will tell you a little of the order's history. Secondly, the structure and governance. Third, ranks and regalia. Fourth, ceremonial and teachings. And fifth, any questions. As an introduction, first of all, let me say that the genesis of the order is extremely checkered, and many orders tracing their ancestry back to the 18th century, veiled in the mists of time and only revealed with circumspection. But I will make a stab at it. There are various previous names of the order, including the White Mason, the Perfect Ceremonies of the United Sacred Band of Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priests after the Order of Melchizedek, the Priestly Order, the Order of Knights of the Tabernacle of the Grand Lodge of York, the Order of High Priesthood, etc., etc., all most confusing. History. The order is purported to have originated from the Anhalit Union bands in County Down, Ireland, about 1792. Union bands are a lecture all of their own. Suffice it to say that there were many union bands with no specific governing body, lodges banded together for expediency, both in Ireland and England. And the order was worked under encampments of Knights Templar in Bristol, Bath, and other encampments in the north. Remember that many lodges worked craft, Royal Arch, and Templar masonry. The priestly order was worked in various guises, and it would appear very spasmodically, and was very nearly moribund until Henry Hotham revived the order. He admitted 9 Knight Templars as Knight priests in 1894, thus forming the Royal Kent Conclave at Newcastle upon Tyne. After an approach by Royal Kent to the Grand Council of the Allied Masonic Degrees for it to come under their protection with its appendant 24 degrees, it was agreed for it to become time immemorial in that year. I'll come back to the appendant degrees in a little while. Charles Warren Napier Clavering, being the Grand Master of the Allied Masonic Degrees and a member of Royal Kent, seeded and constituted the order as a sovereign body on the 15th of May 1924, the date inscribed on my baton. Becoming the first Grand High Priest, i.e. Grand Master, a position he held for 8 years. The order was entitled the Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priests, or Order of Holy Wisdom. It is an honor to be only the 11th Grand High Priest since 1924, and I'm looking forward to celebrating our centenary in 2024. I shall mostly refer to the order as KTP from now on. The 24 appendant degrees from 1894 were inexplicably increased to 31 at the Constitution of 1924, which has since been greatly appreciated. Each of these appendant degrees are complete ceremonies in their own right and are exemplified in many of our tabernacles today throughout the world. They are conferred by name upon each newly admitted Knight priest on the day of his admission, and he is encouraged to witness them as and when he is able. There is a 32nd degree mentioned in our title, that of Order of Holy Wisdom. I gave many lectures on this order, and when I became Grand High Priest, I instigated its revival as a separate but integral order able to be worked in all tabernacles. This order is compulsory for any Knight priest before acceding to the chair in a tabernacle. Its meetings are called congregations, and this most beautiful and enlightening order is enthusiastically now worked in each of our 57 districts. This associated order came into force in 2014, changing the title of our order to the Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priests and Order of Holy Wisdom, governed by Grand College at York. Structure. Enough of history. Let's get on to the structure and governance of the order. First of all, let me be quite explicit. We are in no way a modern-day religious organization. Our ceremonies do not, and neither do we, pretend to be ecclesiastical, and our regalia is in no way meant to represent the headgear of a bishop, as will be explained later. Priests refers to the priestly tribe of Levi. Levi is one of the tribes of Israel, traditionally descended from Levi, son of Jacob, the descendants of Aaron, who was the first Cohen Gabor, or high priest of Israel. The order revolves around Moses, Aaron, and Melchizedek. Moses being the chosen vessel of God after he led the exodus of the Israelites out of Egypt and across the Red Sea to Mount Sinai. There Moses received the 10 Commandments. It subsequently fell upon Aaron, his younger brother, to lead the people as priest. The chair of high priest, or master, represents Aaron. The 6th and 7th pillars, the wardens, represent his 2 sons. Melchizedek lived some 500 years before Moses, but was a most pious, humble, and welcoming man, even though he was king of Salem, i.e. king of Jerusalem. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are an independent sovereign order, but have a very close working relationship with the United Grand Lodge of England, the orders administered from Mark Mason's Hall, other Masonic orders in the UK, and also the equivalent Masonic orders around the world. We have individual tabernacles, most administered under a district, distinguished by name and number, i.e. Kent, district number 5. A district has very few officers. Itself is governed by Grand College, our Grand Lodge. Grand College has a full complement of the normal grand ranks you would expect. As said, our units are called tabernacles. The man in the chair is the high priest, and there are 7 other main offices called pillars. Then we have the conductor, like the senior deacon, he takes the candidate around, as well as the men at the door, both inside and out, the recorder, secretary, treasurer, organist, DC, and assistant DC. The qualifications to be admitted to KTP are to be a subscribing Master Mason of 3 years standing. The rule changed from a past master 5 years ago. To be a subscribing Royal Arch Mason, both Craft and Royal Arch from a constitution recognised by the United Grand Lodge of England, and to be a subscribing Knight Templar or subscribing CBCS, that's KBHC in this country, from a constitution recognised by the Great Priory of England and Wales or by the Grand Encampment of the United States of America. Each district, or province, has a Grand Superintendent at its head, appointed at the will and pleasure of the Grand High Priest. His district officers are Director of Ceremonies, Recorder, and if necessary, a Treasurer and Almoner. There is no other district structure, therefore there are no district grand ranks. 2 years after leaving the chair in a tabernacle, the past high priest is normally offered his first grand rank. If he stays in situ for a second and consecutive year, his grand rank is 1 year after leaving the chair. There are 57 districts across 29 countries governed by Grand College on all 5 of the inhabitable continents. There are only 2 other sovereign Grand Colleges. The United States of America, constituted in 1935, which could only work within its boundaries, and France, constituted in 2018, again, only work within its boundaries and territory. We have about 300 tabernacles and a subscribing membership of over 6,500 as of September this year. Grand College is administered from York. The orders are governed by an executive committee consisting of the Grand High Priest, Deputy Grand High Priest, Assistant Grand High Priests, Grand Treasurer, Grand Recorder, Grand Director of Ceremonies, Deputy Grand Recorder, and Deputy Grand Director of Ceremonies. They make the policy decisions. These decisions are ratified and brought before Grand College at the annual meeting in June by the General Council, headed by the President of the Council. The Council membership outnumbers the executive, and they are thereby able to veto policy if necessary. Now, a quick overview of ranks and regalia. For Knight Templar priests, all members are styled Knight priests. All the ranks I shall now refer to can be assumed to have the style Knight priest at the end. In a tabernacle, the 6th and 7th pillar, remember the wardens, the DC, recorder and treasurer are eminent if they don't hold a higher grand rank. The man in the chair is a very eminent. Lower grand ranks, illustrious. Grand conductor and higher non-executive ranks, very illustrious. Executive ranks, such as Grand Superintendent, right eminent. The Assistant Grand High Priests, the Grand High Prelate, right illustrious. The Deputy Grand High Priest, most eminent, and the Grand High Priest, most illustrious. It's a mouthful. The Order of Holy Wisdom. The Order of Holy Wisdom has as its head the Grand High Prelate. Like Grand Superintendents, he is appointed at the will and pleasure of the Grand High Priest. Currently, this is the Deputy Grand High Priest. Each of our Grand Superintendents are also High Prelates, and therefore able to conduct the Order of Holy Wisdom or delegate that responsibility. There are additional honours. Knight Commander of the priestly orders, right eminent. We can have many of these. Usually a Grand Superintendent will be honoured with KCPO after 6 to 8 years service. Grand Cross of the priestly orders, right illustrious. This honour is restricted to 33 living members. There are also awards for meritorious service. Pillar of Holy Wisdom, normally given to a Knight priest. Companion of Holy Wisdom, normally given to an illustrious Knight priest. Knight of Holy Wisdom, only given to a very illustrious Knight priest, the past Grand 7th Pillar, the past Grand Senior Warden. Certificate of Merit, a right eminent, must also have been awarded a Knight of Holy Wisdom. Holder of the Grand High Priest Award, right illustrious, the highest award the Grand High Priest can give, but the recipient may be any rank. I've got Regalia. We wear a white tunic, similar to Knights Templar, with a red Roman cross full length at the front. Very similar to that, except mine has lots of embellishments. A white mantle with hood. Again, mine has an embellishment of gold. And a cordelia, a piece of rope, tied on the right in the colour of the appropriate Order of Holy Wisdom rank. Mine is multicolored. That's the only regalia for the Order of Holy Wisdom. We wear a cap, a mitre, 8 inches for a knight priest, with a red cross and red fringed tassels, 12 inches for a high priest and grand officers, with a patriarchal cross and gold French tassels. All insignia not on a collar or collarette, worn on the cap, not on the mantle, with the exception of the Grand High Priest and Grand High Prelate, who have a logo embroidered on the front of the tunic, the Order of Holy Wisdom. The 8-inch cap is based upon that worn by Joshua. The 12-inch cap is reminiscent of the Grenadier Guards or military mitre. That's mine. A little more embellishment than most. Batons are carried by Grand Superintendents, Assistant Grand High Priests, Deputy Grand High Priests, and the Grand High Priest, and other high honours such as Knight Commander, etc. No swords, belt, sash, or gloves. Ceremonial and teachings. Let me give you an introduction. Each and every order in Freemasonry has a story to tell, lessons to impress, knowledge to impart, and teachings to employ in daily life. KTP is no exception. To be a member, the candidate must profess not only a belief in a supreme being, but be a firm and devout Christian. He must sign the statement of faith, which reads, although acknowledging the existence of other faiths, I believe to the exclusion of all others in the Holy Christian Trinity. KTP Ceremonial. The long and protracted openings and closing ceremonies instills in the members the appreciation that God is in and with us at all times through his only Son, Jesus Christ. The main ceremony admission instills the virtues of Christianity and the practice of those Christian virtues. After an obligation, the 31 appendant degrees are conferred by name, and then there is an explanation of the main symbols of the order. The Order of Holy Wisdom ceremonial, the regalia is that of a knight priest, but without the cap. After the congregation is opened and formed, the candidate is taken through various stages, bringing him from virtual paganism into the light of Christianity, incorporating minor and major virtues, admission into the chain of fellowship, and culminating in a beautiful explanation of the Holman Hunt painting, The Light of the World. Amit mentioned my CV. Finally, I am continually asked, how did I become Grand High Priest? Well, the real answer is, as always, right place, right time. But of course, it has taken many years, and although I've held other past grand ranks, my KTP active Grand CV is an Assistant Grand Director of Ceremonies, 4 years, Deputy Grand Director of Ceremonies for 6 years, Grand Director of Ceremonies for 3 years, Assistant Grand High Priest for 3 months, Deputy Grand High Priest for 3 years, and Grand High Priest now in my 8th year. I have therefore been an active member of the Grand Executive for 21 years. When an active Grand Officer assists in the consecration of a new tabernacle, he usually becomes an honorary member of that tabernacle. Amit mentioned 44. That is since becoming Grand High Priest. As a consequence of the last 21 years, I am now an honorary member of over 80 tabernacles. That, my brethren, concludes my short talk about KTP. I do hope it was not too tedious. I should be pleased to take questions.
Chris, thank you so much. That was superb. And the one way we can tell is that everybody's glued on and stayed on. So fantastic. Thank you ever so much for taking the time out today to talk us through the wonderful order. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. I've got them coming through now. If we can go first of all to Matthew Christmas. Hi, Matthew.
Hello. Hi there, Amit. Thank you, Chris. That was a fantastic talk. Can I ask you why it was decided to have the Order of Holy Wisdom as the, as if you like, the additional degree, and not some of the others, which are also really wonderful? What was it about that one that took your interest? And are there other ones that you might, in due course, have worked much more regularly?
Well, the Order of Holy Wisdom was part of the title in 1924. It was actually many titles over the years, but Order of Holy Wisdom seemed to be the predominant one. It is so beautiful. Really, it ought to be worked in its own right as a separate and sovereign order. But we can't have innovation in Freemasonry, and therefore the only thing I could do was revive it, which I did a few years ago, and I say made it compulsory, only because it's so very beautiful and an integral part of our orders. The appendant degrees are separate. They are worked. They're not all Christian degrees by any means. In fact, most of them aren't. They are chivalric orders, but they are worked. Some of them only last 20 minutes, quarter of an hour. Some of them much longer. All have their own regalia, all have their own offices. And when they are worked, they are a splendid sight to see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Next, could we go to Brother Alan Silvestre in Brazil, please? Hi, Alan.
Hi, Amit. What a pleasure to be here again. Well, Chris, fantastic talk tonight, or today in the afternoon. I would like to know, it's keeping with the question of Matthew Christmas. Those other 31 orders, do you believe, degrees you would say, do you believe that one of these 31 could in the future become a separated and integral order as the Holy Wisdom, or not?
Well, you must remember that 7 of them were ceded to us from the Allied Masonic degrees. Allied Masonic degrees, as you know, were the keepers of orders that would have fallen into abeyance after 1813, when Sussex and Kent decided between themselves that there would be only 3 orders, 3 degrees, including the Holy Royal Arch, and all others, although they accepted that they existed and didn't exclude them and didn't prohibit them, they still frowned upon them. So they were kept alive, mostly by the Allied Masonic degrees. There are lots of degrees, of course, like the Rose Cross, have 31 appendant orders. The same. And the answer to your question is no. We are the keepers of those orders. And although some of them are worked in other orders, like, no, I won't mention them, but some are worked in other orders and expanded upon in those orders.
Alan, thank you
so much.
Great to see you again, Alan. Next, could we go to Brother Philippe Jus, please? Hi, Philippe.
Hello, Amit. Hello, Chris. Thank you for this brilliant lecture. I wanted to ask about one thing. So within the official name of KTP, we have Royal Arch and we have Knights Templar. So I wanted to ask about one is being Solomonic and the other is more chivalry. So what is the connection there to KTP? How does it all fit in terms of the story? Maybe, you know, also the separation of a few thousand years between each of those. So question regarding this. Thank you.
Yes, Philippe. The answer to that question is you have to go back, right back to when Freemasonry really started, and lodges worked other orders. I talk about craft lodges worked other orders. When the ancients decided that the Holy Royal Arch would become an integral part, it was worked from a craft lodge. Master and his wardens left the lodge, went outside and opened a Royal Arch chapter. Hence, we three do meet and agree in the opening. They then came in to the lodge and worked the Holy Royal Arch after the craft meeting and closed it within the craft meeting. Hence, in the closing, we all do meet and agree. Many lodges then worked other orders, but the main and predominant one was the Knights Templar, worked from the Royal Arch degree, which is why we have the craft, Royal Arch, and the Knights Templar as prerequisites before the Knight Templar.
Thank you,
Okay,
Philippe.
thank you.
Next, could we go to Brother Derek Burt? Hi, Derek.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your talk. Could you explain the collarette that you're wearing? And the other question was the centenary. Have you planned yet where that will be held? Will it be at Hinkley Island or will it be at some other venue?
Eric, thank you for the question. First of all, what am I wearing? Well, you can see that, that is my official logo, if you like, of the Grand High Priest. It's a patriarchal cross with the cross croziers and the main symbol of the order in the center. The collarette I'm wearing, because it's embellished, it's a Grand Cross. If it wasn't embellished, it would be a Knight Commander. So when you become a Knight Commander, you can have one of these and a baton. The other ones I'm wearing, this one is the Knight Commander of the United States of America. And this one, whether you can see it, is a Grand Cross from the United States of America, because of course we have close affinity and have had for 80 odd years with America. That's the regalia. The centenary Newcastle Cathedral has been booked. I have a committee who are responsible for organizing everything that is going to happen over 1 or even 2 days. We shall see as the time arises. We've had information and guidance from Mark Mason's Hall, who of course have experience of large events in Lincolnshire, for instance, for the KT and the Red Cross of Constantine. And so Newcastle upon Tyne, which is the obvious place to have our cathedral service, has already been penciled in. And we look forward to as close to the 15th of May 2024 as we can.
Thank you, Derek. Next, could we please go to the Grand Master, the Most Worshipful Christine Chapman, please? Hi, Christine. Oh, we lost her.
Yep. No. Hello. I just wanted to ask. You said that you now allow Master Masons to come in, and so because we've only recently started doing this degree, we restrict ours still to installed masters. Have you had to alter the ceremony in any way?
Yes, yeah, only slightly. The fourth pillar now has a different sign.
Yeah.
If you were to write to Klingardard, my Grand Recorder, he will send you a ritual. I'll be pleased to send you a ritual.
Thank you.
It's ever so easy to, it wasn't difficult. Now, the reason I did it was not to get younger men particularly into the order, although that has happened, but I don't recognize virtual past masters. As you know, pre-1813, men who were standing in the community decided to become master of their lodge and stayed there for many, many years, therefore not allowing others to do the work. It remains the fact in Germany, in Uruguay, in Paraguay, in places in Greece, exactly the same. They have virtual past masters. Not recognizing virtual past masters restricted those countries allowing membership. And that's why I changed the regulation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Next, could we go to Jocelyn George in India, please? Hi, Jocelyn.
Good evening. Excellent lecture, most illustrious. I just want to check, where all do you have tabernacles in Asia?
Yes, we do, but not in India.
I know you don't have in India because
No.
I'm a Templar, but you don't have a tabernacle KTP here in India. But
No.
other than India, where all do you have? I mean, in Asia, where do you have?
Well, we have the Far East. So we have Singapore, Malaysia, we have Hong Kong, and that's about it, really. We don't have any in Asia as such. We have the other continents, of course. We have both the Caribbean, South America, Canada, Australia, Europe. We have tabernacles practically all over the world. There are places that are governed by the Americans in their territories overseas and the French in their territories overseas, but not yet in India. There are two reasons for that. One is we haven't been approached, and two is, of course, you have to be a devout Christian. There are devout Christians. You will tell me, of course, whether there are enough to sustain tabernacle.
Yeah, because we just have 4 preceptories in India at the moment. So the source of people joining KTP would be much restricted.
That's right.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I'm sure that will grow in time, and it's only a quick flight to the rest of the world for you to join a.
Yeah, Malaysia is nearby, Singapore is nearby.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brethren, I think it looks like that's all the questions. I think, Chris, you've got away with that.
Well done. Thank you.
They're either too scared or you've given them all the information they need. But absolutely delighted to have you on. Thank you ever so much. I know these things take time and can be quite daunting doing it over Zoom. Really appreciate it. May I just put on record as well my thanks to Glyn Goddard, Robert Anderson and Dan Heath as well, who have all helped and assisted in putting this together, or getting you on our screens today.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Brethren, we will see you all next week. We've got a fantastic October lined up afterwards, but next week we have got Dr. David Harrison on, same day, Tuesday, 6 p.m. David is a UK-based Masonic historian stroke archaeologist who has written 6 books on the history of Freemasonry and has contributed to many papers and articles on the subject to various journals and magazines around the world. So pretty excited to have him on next week. I wish you and bid you all a very, very good evening. God bless, take care, be safe, and we shall see you all next week.
Thank you very much.
Peace to all.
Night. Thank you all.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Yeah.
Everyone, take care.
Good to see you.
Bye.